Hello and welcome to a very special double feature. So we're going to talk about the Traitor Herald and the Return to Cadia hammer and bolter thing they're doing. Okay, let's talk about the model first because that's probably what you care about and it's what I care about more than the other thing. So let's go from there. So we got our Traitor Herald. He's got the Eye of Terra banner. And he's again in a very neutral pose like the Loyalist Herald. He's in Mark 4. Mark 4 is kind of nice to see, even though it's not my favorite armor. I think it's one of my least favorites from the Horus Heresy, but I do like it enough that it's nice to see a little bit of a change up there. So, what are the positives in this? Well, it's Mark 4. Even though I've noticed there's been a few redesigned touches, you might notice on the ears, I actually spent a little bit of time trying to figure out what it was about the helmet that was throwing me off. And credit to Breakfast for Bando, or Breakfast with Bando, great channel. He made a note that they had changed where the ears are. They have actually made that much more in the style of the Primaris for some reason. I've also noticed that the little vent marks on the nose of the armor have been dispensed with. And I think there's a slight curve in it now to make it a little bit more beaky, but that could just be the lighting they used when they were taking pictures of the unit. Beyond that, let's just be perfectly honest. This is really kind of just a Horus, Sons of Horus unit, and it's not bad, it's not great, but there's a problem with it, and this is where I really have had a problem with the other one, in so much that it was more generic, which is something I kind of liked. I know a lot of other people didn't like that about it, because they, especially I think the Outer Circle, wanted it to be a little bit more auspicious to show how the position of the character, because these are big deal individuals in their legions. But I kind of liked it from a generic standpoint for more of a kit bashing, so you could kind of do your own thing. However, we'll see how that turns out. This character has the opposite. They are very, very much done in the style of a Sons of Horus. You can paint them any way you want. I'm sure there are going to be people who are going to get in there and just convert away and come up with all kinds of different ways to change the character up, but this is a really Sons of Horus style character. Between the little stars on his belt to let's be honest, the axe is a very Sons of Horus, yada yada yada. I don't want to be just to beat on this horse. So the negatives are, I don't know why it has a very particular type of axe. I wish he had a little bit more generic. One thing I think that they should have done is just remove the little stars. I keep forgetting the Eyes of Terra from his belt and just had that as an optional part you could put in or not. I think that would have helped. The chainmail around the right arm does not have enough separation to make it look like separate links. It looks kind of odd. I'm sure somebody with a knife and a little bit of time could make them a little bit more distinct, but in this photo, they look more like a piece of plaster with a chainmail kind of look. Very chunky detail, oddly enough, on that, especially since we have different length sizes on the other arm and where the loin area is. Beyond that, it's not a badly designed. It's very neutral. It's very much a neutral kind of thing, I'd say, is the best way to put it. It's not offensive, but it doesn't invoke any great passion. And the alterations seem to be kind of leaping out at me, but mostly around the head. Now, the unhelmeted head, I'm not that wild about. I generally don't like to have characters walking about without helmets on. So, if you like it, let me know why. I do kind of like that they gave him the kind of scar going from the corner of the lip back. That's nice. Not so much the side shave. Not my thing. Score-wise, I think is about a 4.5 to maybe 5.5, depending on if I valued the negatives or the positives more. If you like it, let me know what you really like about it. Other than that, we'll touch on the painting at the bottom. I'm glad that they're putting other painters at various levels of skill and on these models. I think that is a good thing they're doing, because it can show people, hey, here's some other ways you can do it. Here's some different levels, and this is what you could achieve. And then if you want to push higher, here you go as a couple example. I really like the World Eater. I think he's really well done, and so is the Thousand Suns. And you don't see enough of the metallic Emperor's Children, in my opinion. Okay, so I've tried to avoid it as much as possible, but we're almost at the 6-minute mark, so let's just get to it. I looked at the trailer for the Return to Cadia, and I thought immediately going, wow, this is a stupid concept. Because, one, they got a giant base on an asteroid on a planet that was effectively rendered to dust, cosmic dust, you might say. And the animation looked passable. It didn't really invoke a real great need for me to see it. Not to mention, I really just hate most of the lore since 7th edition. So I already have that bias. You might not. So I'm just going to let you know ahead of time, because I'm always going to be honest with people as much as I can. So I'm not really compelled by it. It looks very much kind of trying to do an Aliens kind of thing, you know, the movie Aliens. You got some kind of thing going on. It's obviously going to be that chaos, dang old chaos coming onto my yard, messing up my grass. But here's the thing. You could do this story just about anywhere. This does nothing but lighten the blow of the loss of Cadia. Now, I mean, there are more Cadians apparently than ever, despite the fact that their planet's been blown up. There seems to be really no repercussions of this planet being blown to pieces. In fact, there's big enough pieces to build a gigantic base on top of the damn thing. And I just sit there going, why couldn't you just put this anywhere? You could put this on, why isn't it on a ship? Why isn't it on a ship in the warp where maybe a Chaos Space Marine got in and he's doing a little bit of that horror movie slasher thing? Or they're dealing with gene stealers. There's a tons of ways to tell this story without cheapening even more the modern lore that you basically crapped out your hole. And that's what they chose to go with. So, I mean, hey, what can I say? When half the damn writers for the lore basically say there is no canon and none of it matters, I'm like, well, then this doesn't have any impact. It means nothing. It's a cheap attempt to make you care about their animation by trying to call back to something that was lost, which they're kind of dampening the real loss of it, because there's really not been any actual displayed downsides to a planet being blown up. There are more people from that planet just seemingly everywhere who should have died out decades ago by considering their timeline, and yet now they got a giant base on a effectively they're pulling a Dark Angels and building the freaking base on top of a chunk of their old planet, and then having a horror movie thing going on in it. I'm like, okay. Let me know if this is something you think's interesting. Do you like the concept? Do you think it's dumb? Let me know. I would like to hear what people think, because this, I just can't understand the appeal to it. I feel like it's cheapening things for the people who actually care about things post 7th edition. And I hate when I see people who are enjoying something basically get smacked in the face with a cold, dead fish. So let me know as the phone goes off what you think. Bye-bye.